They know the money is coming to go. So what?
There's an interesting character that I want to talk about with you, Drew. Not a lot of people talk about him, and you had a fairly good relationship with him. Rest in peace to him, but I had a blessing to meet him a few times through you, Gene Griffin.
Oh, man.
The first Suge Knight.
Oh, my God. Well, that's all, you know, when people talk about, when I see Suge Knight, personally, when I see Suge Knight and his operation and what he does, and people scared and the things that they death row and all that stuff, I always think of the original Suge Knight. If you want to make it a Suge Knight, it's supposed to be the original Gene Griffin. Should be the man people talk about. Because Gene, I think, was more, he falls in the same category as what Suge Knight is doing. Only difference is he doesn't do stupid shit. See what I mean? He was more on a mob basis of making things that is artists that he signed, you know, they are taken care of, and anyone else that comes in between them, you'll be on his bad side. That's all what Gene was doing. So Gene was the management, and he really grew Teddy Riley to where Teddy Riley was. A lot of people don't know that. If it wasn't for Gene Griffin, there would be no Teddy Riley. I said so. Teddy, you know that. If it wasn't for Gene Griffin, there would be no Teddy Riley.
Now he was also, and the reason I'm going to say it in public, because Teddy has already said it public recently on Vlad. Teddy wasn't getting no publishing or nothing.
No, everything was going to Gene Griffin because he's a ruthless person. Remember what I said. Gene Griffin is a ruthless person. It's all about him. He makes money in the industry. He was running Universal with all the big wigs that you see out there. Al-Qaeda, whatever that other dude is. But most of the artists out of Atlanta back in the 90s was signed to Gene Griffin, from Pass Detroit, from Crable Gold, from, who else? A whole lot of folks. The good news about Gene Griffin is he was the one that, I can't talk about certain things on this, but he was the one that got Jermaine Dupri Daddy, L.A. Reid Babyface, who else? Dallas Austin, and a couple more folks that were signed to George Kirby out of their deal. They were in a shitty deal with George Kirby. George Kirby was making all the money. They weren't making. These producers used to produce the hottest record out on Shaka Khan. Have the hottest record out on a lot of these major artists that you hear of, and weren't getting paid. And Gene Griffin, who is the what you call it now, the mob boss, make sure they get paid. And God bless his soul and rest his peace, he did it. I know a lot of people don't know this, but he got these niggas out of their bad contract with George Kirby.
And that's where Suge ended up.
And that's how Suge came, maybe was trying to emulate Gene Griffin. But you know, Gene Griffin does a lot of stuff.
Nice. Now, let's talk about, now wasn't there, before we move on, wasn't there a time with you and Gene Griffin and Collabo where y'all had an incident, or where he didn't know they were yours or something like that?
Yeah, I remember. I can say that because it was these boys were mine. Actually, I left the group Collabo in Gene's office. We were working on Gene was trying to help me to get them a situation at Universal. And I decided I left them in the office with him, and I think I went somewhere on a call or something. I was doing my, my cop work at the time. And I left the boys in there. And I came back and they said, hey, Drew, we need to talk. They met me outside and I'm like, what happened? And they said, man, Gene took us in his office and gave us paperwork to sign. And I said, I couldn't sign it. And because Ray was the one that really got mad, because Ray was like, no, I'm not signing this shit. And all that. Gene said, sit your ass down, and put his gun on the table and said, sit your ass down, you're gonna sign this. And then Ray said, man, you gotta kill me. And I said, what? Really? That's what just happened? And I walked in there to Gene and said, Gene, what the fuck are you doing, man? Are you gonna tell my boys to sign some damn documents and tell them to sit their ass down and put a gun on the table? Come on, Gene. No, I did not do that, man. What they talking about? No, I was trying to let them know how this shit work. He said he was trying to let them know how this shit work, how the music business is treacherous. I said, what? Real talk, I didn't really got mad because, Gene give me a lot of work. Give me a lot of work, so I just let it slide. I let that slide, because not knowing me, I probably use the back of my gun and do whatever I need to do with his ass, but I didn't do that.
Stand on top like I'm King Kong. Paddle niggas like a ping pong. Run my block like I'm King Von.